good. All right, everybody, I would like to welcome you to our the first town hall that this board has been putting on during our fall 23 business meetings at fall conference. A motion was passed that we begin to hold these quarterly starting in December. This one is obviously a virtual options. The 3 out of the next 4 next year will be at community colleges, and we will do one in each area. So we'll have an Eastern, Western, and a Central. So today the focus on what we're going to be doing at this town hall is we're going to be focusing on securing seats on our local board of trustees. We're also going to be discussing current legislation that is affecting the Great 58. The chair of the State Board of Community Colleges, Mr. Tom Looney, has assigned 2 new liaisons to the N4CSGA, Mr. Jonathan Harris and Mr. Ray Trapp. We will be introducing them to you as part of our interactive segment and doing a Q&A with them. The liaisons and I have conducted a meeting on how the State Board of Community Colleges can help the N4CSGA in our endeavors, and we'll go over that. Mr. Chair Looney, the Chair Looney has asked us to work on ways that the State Board of Community College can help us in our endeavors to secure as many seats as possible on the local Board of Trustees. Dr. Evans and I have written a first draft of a letter that we will eventually send out to the local Board of Trustees. Once we have finished our letter, we will be looking at the State Board in some way co-signing this letter with us. We are also discussing the possibility of the State Board of Community Colleges putting forth a resolution in support of our efforts to secure local seats. I am now going to, give me just a second, I'm going to bring up the letter. I apologize, my computer shut down. Give me 1 second. What happened? So, you got a letter? Okay, excellent. Thank you. So I will read this letter out. This is just a first rough draft of what we're wanting to do, a starting point that we will work from. So it begins, I am reaching out to express our concern and seek your support regarding the recent legislation that potentially removes the formal position of the Student Government Association President as an ex officio member of the Board of Trustees. Thank you. We understand that the decision now rests with the current Board of Trustees, and we believe that retaining the SGA President in this capacity is crucial for fostering campus engagement, promoting student advocacy, and maintaining a strong connection between the student body and the board. The SGA plays a pivotal role in enhancing the overall college experience for students. By virtue of their position, the SGA President brings a unique perspective that represents the diverse needs and concerns of the student population. Their presence on the Board of Trustees ensures that student voices are heard directly in the decision-making process, contributing to a more inclusive and transparent governance structure. The SGA actively engages with students, organizes events, and advocates for policies that positively impact the entire campus community. Through our advocacy group, we have witnessed firsthand the positive influence that the SGA has on campus life, promoting a sense of belonging, unity, and pride amongst students. We kindly request that you formally vote to retain the SGA President as an ex officio member of the local Board of Trustees. We believe that this collaboration between students and the board is essential for the continued success and growth of your community college. If you have any questions or would like to discuss this matter further, please feel free to contact me. Thank you for your time, consideration, and dedication to the well-being of your community college. So that is our rough draft of the letter that we're going to be looking to put out. If anybody has any suggestions, we are open to receiving suggestions on that letter. Please contact us, and we will look at all of your suggestions. Okay, so at this time, I am going to hand things over to Christopher Hernandez Carrillo, who will be discussing our current legislation and how it affects the grade 58.
Hello everyone. So I will be discussing the N4CSGA legislative update. The importance of this legislative update is this is a legislative update of the legislative bills in the North Carolina General Assembly affecting the grade 58 North Carolina community colleges. The first bill that we will be going over is North Carolina Senate Bill 364, Session 2023. This bill was first filed in March of 2023, then ratified 7th of June 2023 and came into effect on 1st of December 2023. This bill is an act to amend the State Human Resources Act to prohibit compelled speech when an individual seeks state government or community college employment to demonstrate the General Assembly's attempt that the state and community college employees recognize the equality and rights of all persons. For this one, the reason why we discuss this bill is as this can affect employees who are students as well on each community college in the state, as well as with workplace as well and compelled speech prohibited. And lastly, with this one, it's discussing certain speeches that are not allowed in the workplace and in state government. The next bill that we will be discussing is the North Carolina House Bill 8, which I will pass this over to Tony for a little bit more clarification.
So House Bill 8 is basically a requirement that all community colleges, all of our colleges are accredited. Traditionally, we have been accredited through SACS, which is traditionally the southern portion of the southern area of who would accredit your college. Traditionally, your college was accredited by the accreditation that was typical for your area, so it was based off of your location. House Bill 8 changes that completely. House Bill 8 now states that every cycle you have to be accredited through a different accrediting agency. The cycle is every 10 years. Now, this does not sound like it would be a major thing, but it really does have a lot of implications for our schools because the accreditation process is something that takes a great amount of time. It takes a lot of people to do so. It is not an easy thing to accomplish, nor should it be, because we want our colleges to go through a rigorous process proving that they are worthy of handing out the credits that they're handing out. The problem is, I believe it'll especially impact some of our smaller colleges, is that the legislation does not provide any type of resources or additional funding that would allow some of these colleges to cover the cost of the extra people and time that they're going to have to put in from switching from one accredited agency to the next. There is a grace period on the colleges that have to redo their accreditations here in the near future, that they're going to work with that a little bit and make it a little bit easier for them. So this is something that's really going to start to impact us in the future, but it's something that we wanted to make you aware of, because this is an issue, like I said, that particularly at some of our smaller colleges, that's going to be that it's going to be a extra. I don't want to say burden, but it's going to be extra work that they may need some additional resources to accomplish successfully. That's it. We can go on to the next.
Yes. So the next bill that we will be discussing is House Bill 259, Session 2023. So this bill, it details of the state budget, which is appropriations for the current operations of state agencies, departments, and institutions. Which, again, I will pass this to Tony to discuss a little bit more on.
Oh, I'm discussing the budget?
I can help you with this one too.
Okay, I'll be honest, I'm not super familiar with what's going on with the budget. I am aware of some of the wording that's been put into our new budget, which first of all secured our local seats, or actually did not secure our local seats. It secured the N4C president's seat on the State Board of Community College is now secure for the recent future. But I'm sorry, I don't know what to talk about. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were going to hand the budget part off to me to discuss.
So with the budget, there is a specific appropriation to each agency, and there is a detailed version of it, with the first one starting off with the education system of the North Carolina Community College system, and it details of the fiscal years of the requirements, lesson receipts, and the net appropriation, which the net appropriation is the amount of money that is appropriated to the community college system. So the next bill that we will discuss is the Senate Bill 692, which is a bill that we as the N4CSGA have been working on since the prior executive board. So this one was filed back in April to make changes to various education laws within the high school public system and the community college system. But our main focus details about the SGA and Board of Trustees. With this one, we are discussing the role of the SGA president on each Board of Trustees, which was being determined by the state, has been updated to now that each president of each community college can determine whether they keep their SGA president on their board as an ex officio Board of Trustee. Ex officio meaning as they are there to give a report and they are not allowed to vote, but they are allowed to voice their opinion of the students of the community college. That's that. We'll hand this off to if we have any questions or concerns or any additional legislative bills that we would like to discuss.
All right, thank you very much, Chris. I would like to mention that the Board of Presidents, the President's Association did report at the last meeting that the presidents have all agreed that they believe that the local seats should remain at the local Board of Trustees, which is absolutely wonderful that they declared that. But the problem is that the presidents do not make this decision. This is a decision that has been put in the hands of the Board of Trustees, which would be up to the chair and the members of each local Board of Trustees. So it is absolutely incredible that the presidents have our back and want to support us in this initiative and securing this, hopefully all of the seats. But we also we want to do some things ourselves to try to help that along and to make this campaign as successful as possible. We are now going to move into our interview portion of the town hall. So Chris and I are going to step to the side and we're going to bring our interviewees in. I will give a very brief introduction to them, as I want you to get to know them through the interview questions and get to know them from their own responses instead of what I would put forward. So we are going to step to the side. If you gentlemen could join us up here, please. So immediately to my left is Mr. Jonathan Harris, who is the policy director for the Lieutenant Governor's Office, and he sits on the State Board of Community College and has been assigned as one of our liaisons to the State Board of Community College. Sitting across from him is Mr. Ray Trapp, who also sits on the State Board of Community Colleges and has been assigned as one of our liaisons to the State Board of Community Colleges. So I'm going to start off. I'll start with Mr. Harris, and then I'll go to you, Mr. Trapp. I'm going to ask you the same questions, and feel free to expand or as little or as much as you would like to. And if there's any questions you would like to pass on, don't hesitate to ask. So no pressure here. And then after that portion, we will go to the live questions if we have from our stream. So number one, what is your current occupation, Mr. Harris?
Yeah, so Tony did a great job talking about that already, I think. I'm policy director for Lieutenant Governor Robinson in the Lieutenant Governor's office right here in Raleigh. And Lieutenant Governor sits on the State Board of Community Colleges. I am the Lieutenant Governor's designee, so I'll attend the meetings on his behalf. We'll vote according to how the Lieutenant Governor figures that we should vote, and support students as best we can from our office.
Thank you. And Mr. Trapp, what is your current occupation?
Absolutely. Thank you, Tony. I am currently Executive Director of Empower North Carolina. Empower, we are a workforce development solutions training program that focuses on young adults from 18 to 26-year-olds and also veterans and veteran spouses of any age. We focus on moving people from underserved communities to livable wages and also upward mobility through IT and tech careers. Our program is 20 weeks in North Carolina. We just expanded here, and we are also tuition free. So we are actually a gateway, seek to be a gateway to community college and stackable education.
Excellent, thank you very much. Mr. Harris, what is your educational background?
Yeah, so I bounced around a lot actually. I went to high school at the middle college at A&T, and then I started my freshman year at A&T as well. Had a great time there. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Fantastic HBCU out there in Greensboro, North Carolina. After that, I had to move. There was a family situation that had me move down to Salisbury, North Carolina, but I wanted to continue my education while we handled that. So I went to Rowan Cabarrus Community College, and that really got me on the right track. I found a lot of success at that school, had some great instructors, and they said, you know what, John, we think that you're doing really great here, but we could see you maybe somewhere else. So I ended up at UNC Greensboro, and that's where I finished getting my bachelor's degree in sociology and economics. And that's my educational background in a nutshell right there, Tony.
Thank you very much. Mr. Trapp, what is your educational background?
Absolutely. So similar to Jonathan, my pathway and educational background is varied and it's stackable, which is why I totally believe in stackable education, which is why I'm a community college advocate, which is why I believe in the community college system. So when I was 18, I had a number of offers to go play basketball in college, but knew that if I did go to college at 18, I would have been kicked out by the end of first semester. I knew I was not ready for college at 18 years old, so had a conversation with my father, and my father said, oh, that's great, so what do you want to do? I think it's the first time in history that a parent has tried to talk a child out of being an attorney, because that's what I told him I wanted to be. So through that, it was, okay, well, what's next? So I went to the military, joined the U.S. Navy. After being in the U.S. Navy, came back, started in community college, and after being in the Navy and being on watch, and everything that goes along with being in the military, it was also I just need to sit here and take notes and take tests. Absolutely, I'm for that. So community college at Anne Arundel Community College. From there, continue to work, continue my education. Undergrad, American Intercontinental University, finished that, and then finished up at A&T, a graduate degree. So I 100% believe in stackable education. I worked all along the way and continue to stack education along the way. And I believe for a lot of us that is the path forward. So that is my educational background.
Excellent, thank you very much. And this next one, I'm gonna combine the next two questions. Which entity are you appointed by to the board, and why did you decide to accept the appointment on the State Board of Community Colleges?
I think we've already addressed that pretty well for me.
Yeah.
Of course, Lieutenant Governor is my appointing body there. And why did I choose to accept? Well, how could you say no to such a great opportunity?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm appointed by the governor, and so the way the community college board works, we have district representatives who represent certain districts throughout the state, and then we have at-large representatives. So I am a Governor Cooper appointee to represent the whole state, the entire state, so all 58 community colleges in the entire region. And for me, as I said in my opening about my educational background, I 100% believe in community college. I 100% believe in stackable education. I think that community colleges are often overlooked as that pathway to continue education, and that we need to change that. We say on our board a lot of times, I know you've heard it, John, I know you've heard it, Tony, since you've been on our board, the community college system in North Carolina is the best kept secret. Well, it shouldn't be a secret. It shouldn't be a secret at all. It should be something that everybody is screaming from the rooftops, and I think that we're doing that now. You know, we put some things in place to move that forward, and so I think that was why I wanted to be a part of the community college board, was because I kept hearing we're the best kept secret, the great 58, but it's a secret, it's a secret, it's a secret. Well, I don't want that to be a secret anymore, so that's why.
Very good. Number 5, is there anything specific that you would like to accomplish while sitting on the board?
Absolutely. I think from day one, Lieutenant Governor has believed in what the community college system is doing in terms of workforce development and getting students into jobs that change their lives in a really positive, meaningful way. One of the most exciting things that I've seen from this system and from individual colleges across the state is our apprenticeship programs and our workforce training programs. Our office specifically has looked a lot into how we can turn apprenticeship into something that's, one, sustainable, two, more well-known across the state because a lot of folks aren't familiar with this kind of program. And then three, how can we take that to the next level in terms of growing it in our rural areas? We see some really great stuff going on in Wake County, Guilford County, those kind of places, but we want to see in the western and the eastern part of the state these kind of programs growing. So what we did is we took some millions of dollars to tier 2 and tier 3 counties that businesses could tap into, that students could tap into to help pay for their tuition, their tools, their training materials, all of those kinds of things. Tony, apprenticeship, I think, students across the state, if you're not familiar with this, it's something that you really need to look into. Apprenticeship is changing folks' lives. We had a great event this past week at the Lieutenant Governor's office where there were folks from the state fair where they had a masonry, electrical, HVAC competitions for our apprentices. Lieutenant Governor was able to give some nice plaques to some of the folks who won those awards there at our office this week. And we saw, you just see the look on people's faces, the family members, the businesses that are there sponsoring those apprentices. It's not just changing those folks' lives, it's changing the entire lives of people in their communities. And that's what we want to see going forward. Really excited about apprenticeship, really excited about workforce development, and I can't say enough good things about it, frankly.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Trapp, is there anything specific that you would like to accomplish while sitting on the state board?
Yeah, I think one of the things that you've given me since recently is codifying a place for the SGA president on the board of trustees. I think that if you look at what the UNC system does, it mirrors the UNC system. At every UNC system school, that SGA president sits on that board of trustees, and that position is codified. So I don't see why it would be any different for the community college system. Then the other thing is back to what Jonathan said, and we're appointed by two folks that are probably as different politically as they can be, but education is not something that should be political. And so we agree 100% in that regard. You know, I think that apprenticeship and workforce development is something that the community college system is pushing forward and something that I want to see continue to push forward. We have amazing announcements every single day in the state of North Carolina about economic development and jobs coming to North Carolina. But that does nothing for me, and it does nothing for the state or the people sitting in the room if the people in the state are not able to take advantage of them. It means nothing if we move people in from California to come take advantage of jobs that are meant for North Carolinians and meant for North Carolina. So the way we do that is by expanding our workforce development in the community college system to make sure that North Carolinians can take advantage of the economic development opportunities that we have right here. So our folks agree on that.
And this next question may overlap with what you were just talking about, but it's out of the current initiatives that the board is working on. Name two that you're most excited about.
Yeah, I think number one, system office has decided that it'd be a great opportunity right now to focus on marketing and to focus on redesigning this website that the system office has done. And now that we have some really great new staff on board here at the system office, you should see this new website. I think they've really turned it around. It's more accessible to students, staff, and anybody that's interested in the community college system. So that's number one. And to tie that into the other thing that I'm really excited about is just our marketing opportunities that we have here. Mr. Trapp touched on it great earlier. Best kept secret, that's ridiculous. Why do we want to be the best kept secret? That's a bad board. We want to be on the radio. We want you folks out there talking to people about folks, because you hear the rhetoric around 2-year degrees in community colleges. People are always pushing those 4-year degrees like it's the end all be all. And frankly, it's not. It's not. There are a lot of great ways that you can take yourself to a community college, to a job, to a long-standing career, and have a fantastic life without a 4-year degree and a ton of debt that burdens you. Maybe it makes it harder to buy a house, all those kinds of things that we're all thinking about all the time. So just this marketing opportunity that we can seize right now, I think we're doing a really great job, but we need to keep it up. That I can't say enough about.
Okay, Mr. Trapp, what are the current initiatives the board's working on that you're most excited about?
First, I'll say amen to marketing. I think that is one of the things that once we started that from a state board perspective, it changed things up. And we got a lot of energy behind that. So I want to see that continue and continue to push forward. The other thing that I'll say that is out there and I think that we need to continue to push is community colleges in rural areas. We're focusing on that. We just hired a VP to come in and look at rural community colleges and focus in the rural areas. That is something that we don't talk about enough in North Carolina. I think we're finally starting to have that conversation, but we're a state that is extremely rural. I found that out firsthand when I was a county commissioner. I was born in Greensboro, from Greensboro, raised in Greensboro, and went to high school in Atlanta, so I'm as urban as they get. If you look up urban in the dictionary, you're gonna see me right beside it. But I also love the fact that we are a rural state. Guilford County is my home county. Yes, they're very urban pockets of Guilford County, but they're very rural pockets of Guilford County as well. And so we have a state that mirrors that as well. So we're only good as if we're picking up those rural areas and making sure that opportunities there exist the same way they do in the urban areas. We need to solidify that. We need to solidify the opportunities that we have in Wake County, that we have in Durham County, are the same in Allegheny or wherever they are. We need to make sure that we're looking at the state as a whole and get enough of the rural-urban divide. We need to make sure that we're all working together to make life better for North Carolinians as a whole.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Harris, what do you think is the biggest issue that our students or our system are facing today?
I hear it all the time, Tony, and it's not just in the community college system office, in the system, it's not just at universities, it's not just in K-12, it's the mental health crisis that I think our students are facing right now. I graduated college 2019, I was at a community college probably around 2017, and things have not changed very much since then. Frankly, things have probably gotten a little bit worse after this pandemic and everything else that's surrounded that. So I think mental health is something that I've heard a lot from students from across the board. And it's something that our system office is working very hard to address. It's something that the individual presidents at colleges, I know it's on their minds all the time. I've talked to them about it. Some of these wraparound support services that colleges are offering are game changers for a lot of the students on campus. And if you're not familiar with everything your campus offers, please go and ask. There are folks on campus who are more than willing to tell you about all the great things that are available to you in terms of not just mental health, but maybe you can't get a ride to class that day, or maybe you have some kind of bills that have come up that are preventing you from being able to go to class that day and you need to go to work, these kind of things. We have some stuff out there for you that can help you address lots of these issues, but you need to be able to go make sure that you're asking for resources when you need that help. I know how tough that can be because I've been in a similar situation, but what really helped me get across that finish line was reaching out to others and seeing what resources were available on our campuses. So know that if you're struggling out there, we are definitely thinking about you. We're trying to do everything we can to support you, but you gotta go out there, you gotta make sure that you're asking them.
Thank you. Mr. Trapp, same question. What do you think the biggest issue that our students and system are facing today?
Yeah, so as a community college graduate, I say this and I don't think that it's changed much since I graduated. It's life. Life happens. And as community college systems, there are a lot of students, there are a lot of us that are non-traditional that deal with life. And then for a lot of us that are traditional, we still deal with life. And in most instances, we're first generation students. We're navigating the system on our own. We're figuring out if we're going to transfer, where we're going to transfer, what classes transfer, and trying to figure that out. So we shorten that time that we have to stay in school to get to the ultimate goal, which the ultimate goal is a great career and uplifting our families and changing our families generationally. So life happens. And so I think that putting safeguards in place, back to wraparound services, making sure that we have things in place that so when life does happen, it may knock you down, but it doesn't knock you out. So you can continue on with that education and continue on seeing that finish line and getting to the goal. Because the ultimate goal is to complete that program, whatever that program may be, and changing your life. And so that's what I think it is. I think life for community college system students will always be something that gets in the way and something that we always have to figure out how to overcome that barrier.
Thank you. Okay. Number 8 is something that we talked about in our meeting a little bit, but the question 8 is, Mr. Harris, what do you believe is the most effective way for the State Board of Community Colleges to support securing seats at the local BOTs?
Yeah, I think you, Ray Trapp, and I had a conversation about this last week, and I think it's really simple. I hope that other board members will join us in this, and frankly, I'm excited to put forward a resolution here at this next meeting. I mean, I think that's gonna make a wave across this state. I think folks are gonna hear that from the folks on this board, because we have great leadership on our board. Frankly, very diverse, lots of different thoughts, but on this issue, I think we'll all come together and help students out, because what's more important than hearing from the folks that are on the ground doing the work, the students. from my perspective, I'll say it. I probably shouldn't say it, but I'll say it. This budget not securing these students' positions on these boards, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So I think going forward, there's nothing we can do better than be really loud when we say that this is an important issue and we want to see it done.
Thank you, Mr. Trapp. Same question to you. What do you believe is the most effective way for the state board to support securing local seats?
To first, bring forward the resolution. Second, get out of the way and let you all be the voices and you all be the advocates. I think I always get into trouble when I say this because it's not something that people want to hear, but higher education is a business. It is 100% a business. A lot of people don't like to say that out loud, but it is. And ultimately, the state board is in charge of that business of higher education, community college business. Our customers are you all. We have to make sure that our customers are happy and our customers are satisfied, which means that when there's an issue like this that pops up, the thing that we need to do is fix that problem and let you be the advocates and advocate for it and make sure that everyone can hear your voices, that everyone can hear from our customers and ensure that our customers are happy. And so that's it. Bring forward that resolution and help you all advocate and get out of the way.
Okay, thank you for that. This next question is slightly political, but it's the last serious question, and then we're going to go into some fun questions. So, what current legislation do you think is going to impact our students the most?
It's tough, Tony, because legislative session is wrapped up.
Right.
So that's a tough one. I will say I'm happy, I'm excited about the funding that was in the most recent budget for our system. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ray, but it's probably the most money the system's ever got.
Absolutely.
And it's going to give us a lot of opportunities to make a lot of loose ends meet at this point. Frankly, I know a lot of our colleges are struggling and needed an injection of funding, and I think our legislators heard that this time around. And I'm just really excited to see what our presidents are able to do with the money that they're getting this time.
Excellent. Same difficult question to you, Mr. Trapp. What current legislation do you think will impact our students the most?
I think that if we look at legislation and unintended consequences, I think it could be the accreditation legislation. I don't think it came from a place of malice or a place of harm, but I think unintended consequences could come from that. But the one thing that I do love, and the one thing that I previously loved being an elected official and being someone that's into policy, is that no past board can bind a future board. So if there are unintended consequences that come from legislation, you can always go back and correct it. So I think that's the one thing that I love about being here and living in this great country that we live in this great state that we live in. If there are unintended consequences from policy, you can always go back and fix it.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now for some ones that aren't going to be so difficult, because this is just getting to know you guys a little bit better. So my first question is, what are your favorite sports teams?
Oh yeah. I live and breathe basketball. That's all I really care about, frankly. So I was a Duke basketball fan growing up because Carolina fans. No offense to anybody in the room, but my goodness, it's all talking all the time. My fiance actually graduated from Duke with her doctorate in physical therapy, so we got to go see a lot of great games in Cameron Indoor. So I enjoyed that very much. And then past the college scene, I really like the New York Knicks. I've liked the New York Knicks for my entire life. I've been a big Knicks fan growing up, and I continue to be a big Knicks fan. And I'm really excited about this season. And I'm going to stop right there because I won't stop talking about this issue. But basketball, Duke, New York Knicks, that's it.
Mr. Trapp, same question. What are your favorite sports teams?
I'm with you on Duke, but the Knicks, glutton for punishment. So for me, I am a Duke fan, but that happened later in life. I grew up as a Syracuse fan, which is so odd for people to know that I'm from Greensboro, the home of the ACC tournament, and I was a Syracuse fan, but I was a front runner when I was young. Syracuse was great, so I wanted the team that was always good. But I am a Duke fan as far as basketball is concerned. But for sports and professional sports, I'm all Atlanta teams. So Braves, Falcons, Hawks.
All right. I go down the same thing, except it's Kansas City instead of Atlanta. So.
Look for punishment too. Other than football.
It's other football. Okay, so my next question is, what's your favorite recreational activity? What do you do to have fun when you're not in meetings and doing all the great things that you guys do? What do you do to just unwind, have fun, and what would you be doing right now if you weren't at this meeting on a Saturday?
Yeah, frankly, the same thing that I've always been doing growing up. I just love video games, and I know a lot of people can relate to that, especially younger folks like you all. I'm a big home theater guy too. I'm really into audio. I love music. I really love buying speakers and selling speakers and spending way too much time with electronics. So that kind of stuff really interests me. And going back to the video games, I've always loved it. I've always loved role-playing games. I've always loved sports games. I mean, any kind of video game. You get on the sticks, you just have a great time with your friends, hanging out. It's always a great time. So that's what I'd be doing right now, Tony. If I could, I'd be gaming.
You'd be gaming. Excellent. Same question to you, Mr. Trapp.
Yep. So my wife and I, between us both and our blended family, we have 6 kids. So hanging out with family is a huge one. I'm also a huge fan of reality TV. The more ratchet, the more better. Because it's so opposite of my life.
Right.
So watching it is great. And so if I was not here, I probably would be sitting and you're usually quiet about those things, and normally it's not. For years, I would always deny it, like, oh no, I don't watch that mess. But yeah, if I wasn't here, I'd probably be watching Real Housewives of Potomac with my wife.
I love that we're getting some sincerity out of you guys. That's incredible. Okay, very good. Okay, this was kind of a broad question, but what is your favorite thing about North Carolina?
Wow. Okay, so favorite thing about North Carolina really is the diversity in terms of not just the people, not just the landscape, not just the school. I mean, just across the board, you can get whatever you want in North Carolina, frankly. I grew up just like Ray Trapp in Greensboro. Spent most of my life there. Got work in Raleigh, moved to Raleigh. Things are a little bit more expensive, but there's more fun to be had, I think, in Raleigh. You can go to Charlotte, you can have a ton of fun. But you can also go to smaller towns on the coast. You get a nice tranquil, a nice relaxing, a nice, get away from the city kind of feeling. Me and my fiance spend a lot of time hiking, doing things in the mountains of North Carolina. It's just ridiculous how much good food is in North Carolina as well, frankly. I mean, the Eastern to Western barbecue, I'm not going to get into the debate, but I like both. Okay, I like both, and that's from right here in the heart. That's a real thing. But like I said, there's something for everybody in North Carolina, no matter what you're interested in. And I just think there's not a better state out there in terms of I can set up a great life in any part of this state and have a completely different flair maybe than somebody else in the state, but we're both going to enjoy it for different reasons, and it's just a fantastic place to be.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Trapp.
Yeah, I'd say the people. I think the people of North Carolina and our quiet Southern confidence is something that I love. When I look at other places, and especially coming from an economic development lens, you have a lot of people that talk a lot about what they do in economic development. But if you look over the past 2 to 3 years, North Carolina's been at the top of all of those lists as far as the best place to start a business, the best place to work, and all of those things. And so with our quiet confidence, we continue to show that we are better than those other states in a lot of other things. But I think it's back to our history and being in such a state that we're not going to be loud and brash about it, but we're going to show you who we are and what we do. And so I think that quiet confidence is something that I love. And back to the diversity, we have an extremely diverse state, and I love, and I won't take it too politically, but I love when people say, oh, well, North Carolina's a red state. It's not a blue state. It's not that. Well, it's a purple state. It's 100% a purple state. And I think that one of the things that I also love about that is the fact that we can have discourse in this state. We can have open discourse, and you can believe whatever you want to believe. And it's back to where I come from and being an elected official. I would tell my colleagues all the time, I don't care how you voted as long as you can articulate why you voted that way. I believe in the right for you to believe whatever you want to believe as long as you can articulate why you support that reason. And so I think that's one of the things about North Carolina is that we're perfectly blended, perfectly mixed, and that makes us who we are.
Okay, thank you. And so Mr. Harris unknowingly stepped all over my next question. So if you choose to pass, I will understand. Do you prefer Eastern or Western North Carolina barbecue is my next question.
So glad I got out ahead of that one.
So you're welcome to pass if you would like.
Yeah, I think I answered it perfectly. You give me either one, I'm gonna eat it. And I'm gonna love it. So there you go.
Well, I'm pescatarian, so I'll pass as well.
Oh. Okay, so that concludes my prepared questions. Are there any other questions that we have for these gentlemen?
I do. Do you two have a favorite TV series? And if yes, what TV series?
Yeah, I guess, my favorite TV series. There's been some really great stuff I've been watching lately. Breaking Bad easily, I think I've probably seen it 3 or 4 times throughout now. So Breaking Bad really was great. And then Better Call Saul, I haven't finished it, I'm still getting through it. Better Call Saul's been fantastic too. So both of those are really, really great TV.
I'm a huge fan of British TV, so I like a lot of British shows. Top Boy is one of my favorite, and then probably right in there, 1A, 1B is probably The Wire, which I also had a chance to be on. I was on 5 episodes of The Wire as an extra. So.
I'm watching those again immediately.
Was it all in one season, or was it spread out?
It was one season. It was a season that focused on the kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll start those when I get home.
Yeah.
What one leadership lesson has been the most impactful in your life? Or wise words or quote you memorize or something to that effect?
I think something for me, and it really started at UNC Greensboro. I was interested in bettering myself, just not just within the classroom, but overall. And they had a great leadership program there that I took part in, and something that you go to those and you listen and you try to take something from it. I mean, a lot of times stuff you've heard before, and a lot of this stuff just sounds like generic things that you feel like you already know, but maybe you're not implementing. Maybe you're not taking the time to, all those things that you just take for granted, am I actually doing these things? And for me, they call it active listening. And that really changed my life, frankly. I've become much more of a listener. I don't like doing this kind of thing, if I'm being completely honest with you, right? I'm not the guy that wants to sit up there and talk all day about anything, but I'm really interested in hearing from other folks, their perspectives. I think after college, when we got on the campaign trail, we hit all 100 counties, and we listened to folks from parts of the state that I've never even heard of, right? And the things that they were dealing with in eastern North Carolina on the coast were way different than the things that they were talking about in western North Carolina or Raleigh or wherever else. So in terms of being a great leader, I think you really need to know how to be a great listener and really take people seriously when they're coming to you with their problems, not blow them off, not disregard them, but hear them, try to understand them as best you possibly can. It'll change you as a person, it really will. And for me, that was it.
My favorite quote that has to deal with leadership has to do with working as a leader and also believing that you can do anything as a leader. And it's from the great poet Sean Carter, who says, difficult takes a day, impossible takes a week. And so I live by that. I don't think that there's anything that's insurmountable. It may take a little bit longer to achieve it, but there's nothing that's insurmountable once you focus on it and once you want to do it. The greatest leader that I've ever come into contact with or ever had the chance to learn from is Chancellor Harold Martin, who is retiring from North Carolina A&T State University. And one of the things is that he was always involved and always reading and always bettering himself and always learning. And I think that's one of the things that I take away from leadership is that leadership is constantly evolving, it's constantly learning, and it's constantly growing. And then the final thing about leadership and about expanding leadership came from my father, who said, never be the smartest person in the room and never be the most connected person in the room. Never be the smartest or most connected person in your friendship group either. Not that you leave people behind, but that you continue to grow and continue to push yourself. So if you find yourself being the smartest person in every room that you're in, or the most connected person in the room that you're in, you need to get out of that comfort zone and move forward.
Both two really good answers. Man, those are impactful. Thank you for those answers. Were there other questions?
I got one. It's a game related though. All right. So, do you have a favorite fighting game, or just a gaming franchise that you love the most?
Yeah, favorite fighting game. So me and my friend were really, really interested. I don't know if you're familiar with Multiverses when it came out. It's a Smash-like game. I was a big Multiverses guy, and they ripped it away from us. They called it a beta. They took it off the stores and everything. And they said it's going to come back in 2024, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'd probably be be a big Smash guy if I was a Nintendo guy, but I'm just not. I play a lot of PlayStation, so that I've tried stuff like Soul Calibur and Mortal Kombat and Tekken and everything else. I'm not good at them. I enjoy them, but I'm just not great at it. So that'd be my answer.
Mortal Kombat. I'm old.
Mortal Kombat 2.
Yes.
I know me and my friends were talking about Soul Calibur coming out with another game because we really been very tired of playing 6. So
Any other question? Yes, Jariana.
We do have a question in the chat. Someone would like to know what book you've read that's changed your outlook on life.
I'll say
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, why you think? For me, I didn't read it with these are things that you should do to be in politics. It was these are things that you shouldn't do. Yeah, I read it from okay, well, this is one person's thoughts on how to be effective, but for me, it was the complete opposite because for me, that was dictating and ruling as a dictator. So I'm going to do the complete opposite because I believe in servant leadership and I believe in serving people. So this is what not to do. So I think that was.
It's very good. I like that book a lot. I think when I first took this job, like Ray said, it's a purple state, and that's really interesting because there's not many of those. So I was just getting my feet wet, and I was trying to understand the landscape of North Carolina politics. And I'm going to butcher the name, but it's something like the paradox of North Carolina politics, or something like that. If you look that up, you'll probably find it. But it just really goes into the history of North Carolina's politics, and you know the partisanship that's existed, and how folks have dealt with that throughout the history of the entire state. So it goes back very far, hundreds of years, and it takes you all the way up until modern times, and it kind of helps you understand where are our politics coming from, what those beliefs that individuals hold end up turning into in terms of policy, the different debates that have existed over North Carolina's history. I mean, it's just fascinating stuff. It's fascinating stuff. So if you have any interest at all in North Carolina's politics, or just understanding the history of our state in general, I'd recommend that book. It was a game changer for me personally. So that.
Thank you very much. Do we have any more questions?
It's a question I'm asking. Is there a step-by-step process that either one of you usually take when you're addressing certain issues and finding solutions for them?
I think it starts with what I mentioned earlier. Listening is the first one, always that. Because you can go into a room and I've tried to stop this myself, but you can go into a room of folks. Last week we met with HBCU presidents, right? And I might have certain thoughts about, I was at A&T, spent some time, a lot of time with students at Central and that kind of thing. I might have these preconceived notions about HBCUs from my experience there and whatnot. But when you go into that room, just go in with an open mind and really hear what those folks have to say. And then after that, collaboration is key, always. Because there's only so much that John Harris can bring to the table, but there's a lot that other people have to offer that I might not even be aware of. So collaboration, and I'm not even the best working in group settings in that, but I understand the value. So like he said, you got to break out that box, and you got to find a way to get good at those things that you're not good at. And that was one for me. So removing your preconceived notions, going into rooms with an open mind, and then collaborating after the fact. And one thing that I've learned in this job that's really difficult is follow-up. You can have all these great ideas, and you can have this great conversation, and it could have gone on for hours and hours. But then if you folks don't reconnect and like find out what's our plan to bring this to action, you'll never get anywhere. So I think that's really, really important, is that follow-up consideration and then execute.
Yeah, I think for finding solutions, it's about self-awareness and bringing people to the table. First, figuring out what the problem is, and then figuring out the people that you need at the table to come to a solution. I'm extremely self-aware, so if there's anything with organization, anything that has to deal with details, I'm not your guy. I can find someone that can help with that. And so for me, it's being aware of what we need to do to get to that answer or to that solution, and bringing people that are experts in that area or people that have ideas in that area and then bringing them all together. But back to collaboration. I think that solutions have to be collaborative in nature because then you get the best solution. So back to if you can articulate why you voted for something, I don't go in thinking that this is the answer, but let's work together to figure out what the solution is.
Thank you very much. Excellent answers today. Do we have any more questions?
What piece of advice would you give current and or future community college students about embarking on that next part of their journey?
I touched on it a little bit earlier. Always be ready to ask for help. Because like Ray said, life happens, and it's not anything that we need to take on by ourselves, ever, from my perspective. You can get in some dark places, right? And you can feel like you're the only person in the world facing these issues. You're not. You're definitely not. And just having those conversations and willing to be open about yourself and what you're facing and what you're going through. People want to help. I found that people really do want to help. It's just really hard, especially today for our generation. We're not the best communicators. Frankly. We spend too much time on social media. We don't spend enough time getting around tables like this and having these kind of conversations. So my biggest advice would be do that a little more often, right? Do that a little more often. Not all the time, just take that one day where maybe you wanted to stay home and you were invited to something, go do it. Go do it. And even if you're not feeling the best that day or whatever, just try to put on a smile and see if it can turn your day around, because it has for me so many times. And it's something I've always struggled with. I'd rather just stay home and not keep doing it. But like today, when Tony said we're having this thing, I said, all right, I'm gonna put my suit on, I'm gonna get out there, and I'm gonna try my best. And I think it's having all the impact in the world on my own personal life, and I think that would help a lot of students too.
Yeah. So I'll say this, and this is in no way meant to disparage anyone at any community college throughout the great 58. I love advisors. Be your own advisor. Know what your next plan is. If you plan on transferring, know the classes that you take at your community college which transfer to that next step in your journey. Know that yourself. Already have figured out your path and already figured out everything you need to take here to go on to there. I think it saves a lot of time, it saves a lot of energy. When I was in community college, I was sitting with my advisor and they would go through putting everything, I'm old, so they would have to pull out paper and all this, like, oh, well, let me see what this is, this, and I'm like, nope, here are my classes for next semester, here's this and this and this, because I know where I'm going and this is what's going to transfer there. So be your own advisor and figure out the next step in your process and in your journey yourself, because you know where you're going. I think a lot of times advisors are going to do the best that they can, but their numbers are extremely high. They see a lot of students and they're trying to get through that caseload, but you know what you're doing. So that's my advice. Be your own advisor. Again, I love advisors.
Again, two excellent answers. You guys are hitting a home run here. So okay, we got just a few minutes left before we run out of time. Do we have any other questions? What? Yeah, do we want to do that on live? Okay. I'm sorry, I was going to have the board go around and introduce themselves to our new liaisons. Oh, so apparently I don't speak English very well. I am taking sign language once I get to Chapel Hill, and we'll be able to communicate at that point. Do you have any questions for us?
I do. You all are really inspiring to me, mainly because when I was in your shoes not that long ago, I wasn't involved with SGA. Right? I wasn't taking the time out of my day to come do things like this when I was in your position. So I just want to know what inspired you to take that step, because you got classwork, you probably have jobs, you got family, you got a lot of stuff going on. What inspired you each individually to take that step and become involved in this great organization?
So we'll start with Jariel, and we'll work our way around the room.
So Tony is president, you didn't want to start?
I'll be happy. I was trying to be respectful. I'll be happy.
It's fine, that's okay. I already got planned. What inspired me, and I did give it during my campaign to be a part of this board, was finding solutions for some of the issues in the education system. Because I became very involved in SGA on the community college level fairly quickly. I'm an early college student, always involved, high school, middle school, we had some of our student government events and whatnot, but the community college was an entirely different sector of student government, and being able to acknowledge and see what's going on, and that's not just on our campus, that's on another campus, led me to figure out ways that we could possibly develop solutions, or at least speak to some of the higher ups who have the ultimate power of deciding what occurs on those campuses. So that was my
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna do this. So my name is Megan Lingerfeld. I'm actually the SGA advisor at Gaston College. So I locally oversee Ms. Jeriel Bailey and Ms. Taylor Rose over here, who are part of the statewide SGA here in N4C. But just within my career goals, I wanted to be a part of the community college first because I'm also a community college graduate, and it changed my life. I went into it with a perception of it not being beneficial, and I walked out saying this was the best thing I ever did for my life.
Yeah.
So I am a product of that mindset change, and I wanted to do that for others. But specifically with the SGA, I wanted to be able to help build those relationships and guide that leadership with other students. And they do a lot themselves. They volunteer themselves to step up and to do the work. And so I wanted to be a part of that process to help guide them towards where they're going next, knowing that it's a stepping stone process. It's been very rewarding since doing so.
I'm JJ. I work here at the system office. I started my career in 2003 working in Res Life and working with basically students living on campus, campus organizations, residence hall associations, and it's been a part of basically working in campus life. Student engagement has been part of my career ever since. Even now here at the system office, my role basically entails all things outside of the classroom, so athletics, service learning, clubs and organizations, campus involvement, student leadership, student government. And so it's, I guess, part of my DNA.
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to do more than complain about problems. I wanted to actually be able to get behind them and see action happen. And I think that's really hard to do as one person. So coming together in a group like this, and even at my local delegation, it just gives the opportunity to make a change, and I wanted to be able to do that instead of, because I think that there is so much more in actions than words, and being in an environment where I can put forth effort to make that change is it makes it a lot easier for me to be willing to do those things versus if I was on my own trying to make the differences.
So much more in action than words. Is that you?
Yeah.
It's big time.
That's gonna be me the next time.
So for me, I'm a first generation student in my family because both my parents are immigrants. They're from Mexico. And as an early college student, just being able to be behind action instead of words, because being in high school, the first 2 years, I was in SGA, we were just given words rather than we being able to actually do things. And being on this board has just taught me that, like, being able to do something, it makes you feel better, and also being able to see others being affected by that impact. It just affects you in a good way that it makes you just want to keep going and help others.
Name's Austin Bonner. I'm co-advisor for N4CSGA. I am the coordinator of student activities at Mitchell Community College. Jarrett, who's going to be next, is one of my students. I was an early college student. Started in 2014, and I have been at the same institute since then. Student, part-time worker, full-time worker. I went from wanting to pursue a career in nursing to now my life's work is going to be helping students and serving students. So I found that as my passion. This is not a career. This is not a job to me. It's just like breathing air to me. You know? I saw taking on this position on this board not only because my students were doing so, but I needed to continue to grow as a leader. I served on the board as a student, and so I just wanted to wrap things around, be an advisor, and just go from there. That's Jay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Alright, so let's see. Where do I even begin with this? So, of course, I started Mitchell Community College in 2020. That was a really rough year for not only me, but for everybody, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I ain't gonna sugarcoat it. I didn't even know about SGA at the time when I even started my college. Like, I walked into the student union, looked at the banners, just went to the bookstore and got my stuff, walked out. But then, kind of as I started to get to know everybody, we got a little friend group going on or whatever, ended up meeting Austin, who was, of course, campus activities director or whatever. Yeah, and talked to him. He introduced me to SGA. SGA what it was, and I was like, okay. I guess I'll join, did the interview, and then ended up going to conference. And then as I walk in, I'm just like absorbing the atmosphere. I was like, okay, what am I really gonna do here? Am I gonna have fun? Am I gonna be bored? Am I really gonna get anything out of this? And as the days went on, of course, it was gonna be grueling at first because I never really did anything like that. Never really sat down in meetings for that long. As I got to know the people around me, just converse and actually like absorb the atmosphere and more, got to know that campus activities chair was before me Bars. And I was like, what really motivates you to do this? He was like, student engagement, it's fun for me as well, and get to include everybody. So I was like, okay, I'll take that to heart. So I didn't really think I'd get to, be at this, type of level for being on N4CSGA at the time, because I'm really just keeping a promise to not only my peers but to myself. Because like I said, hey, I'm really quiet, I'm so spoken. I want to try and break out of my shell. Yeah. And that's what I also said in my campaign going on to campus activities. Where I told everybody there, I want to help not only me, myself as a person, break out of the shell, but students who also don't feel like they have a voice at their school or at this very moment in time, break out, talk to people if they don't already, and just gain that voice and actually talk to people, make friends, do something that they're actually having something different to do. So that's kind of what inspired me to go on, because like I want to not only better myself but help everybody else.
Okay, next me. So hi, my name is Hi, my name is Aziza Polina. I'm currently the Western Division representative on N4CSGA. So my path actually started from volunteering at school. So first semester, I'm currently studying abroad. So all my family currently lives in Indonesia. I'm studying here alone, and first semester was really rough for me. I was really shy. I felt unconfident with my English, like how to speak English just in general. And I took online classes at that time. So I tried to volunteer at one of our school events, which was Fall Fest at the time, to see if I liked to be involved in the community. And then eventually, after that first volunteering at that Fall Fest, I realized, oh, I like helping others. I like being involved with the students. I like being involved with the community. So that one volunteering opportunity led to another and another. And eventually, one of my friends that was in the leadership team asked me, oh, so you volunteer like only for fun? And I answered, yes, I only volunteer for fun. I couldn't drive at that time, so I used Uber all the time. And then he was like, rather than you just volunteering for fun, you can actually get like more benefits out of this if you join the leadership team and add it to your office hours or like flight log hours. So eventually I applied for SGA. I got interviewed, and there was they basically asked why do I want to be here, and at that time I gave them a blunt answer. It was a really blunt answer, but it led me to my path until now. I automatically answered that I wanted to be the SGA president. And then they were like, oh, you want to be the SGA president? It's different from high school. And I say, yes, I understand, but I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to grow continuously. So eventually time passed. Now I'm the SGA president at Foresight Tech, and now I'm on the N4CSGA executive board. And for me, what motivates me is how I contribute not only for like the students but also for the community, and how it impacts everyone, because maybe I will contribute something that's not happening now, but it will be passed on to the next generation, which is important for me.
So mine is, I think you guys are aware that that I deal with some mental health issues. I've been on disability for 10, 11 years now. A few years ago, I started making a lot of progress, or I hadn't made enough progress that I decided it was time for me to begin my journey off of disability. I started out by, I just knew, all I knew in my heart was that my community had those things that I wanted to dedicate the rest of my life to serving my community. I did that first by signing up for a peer support specialist training class. I then joined college because I realized I wanted to do even more. And then I decided that I was going to take every opportunity I could to help serve.
And if it was feasible, I was gonna do it. So when they came to my classroom talking about wanting people to join the SGA, I was like, I can do that. So I called and talked to my dad about it. I said, Dad, what position should I run for? He said, when in doubt, run for president. So I ran for president, and I got it. And then we were getting ready for a spring conference last year, and they put out information saying, hey, we have a bunch of positions open on the N4CSGA board. And I didn't even have to call my dad. I said, when in doubt, run for president. So I ran for president, and I was successful, and here we are. And for me, it's all about giving back. I received for so many years, and now that I am capable of giving back, that's just what I want to do for the rest of my life. So that's also why I want to go to medical school, and I just want to give back the rest of my life. So that's it for me. Awesome. You guys have any more questions for us?
I have an easy one. What's next?
So
Do you want
sorry.
me to do one over here?
We can continue with the survey.
Okay.
You can do a general answer.
But as I was telling you earlier, Mr. Trapp and another Mr. Harris, we didn't have a chance to talk about it, but I'm in the process of applying, finishing my application to Babson College, Wilson, Massachusetts. They're an entrepreneurial business institution, so I'm hoping to attend there, study entrepreneurial studies and international business.
Awesome. Yeah.
Oh, me. Well, and I think, and I apologize, I can't remember who mentioned it, but I think it might have been Austin. Basically, just taking hold of every leadership opportunity to learn. I'm one of those who is of the mindset that the world is your classroom.
Yep.
And the minute that you think that you're done learning is the minute that you really are done, just in general.
Yep.
There's no more moving forward from there. So, and that concept, I never know what door is going to open, but just taking it with an open mind and knowing that even though it might feel uncomfortable, getting out of that comfort zone is really how you learn and how you grow. And so at this time, I don't have anything immediate that I'm looking for, but in these kind of careers, when you're working with students and student engagement, there's always something unexpected that's coming around every door. So whatever that is, just taking it with an open mind.
Yeah.
You know, after being here at the system office for about 7 years, I've been looking at opportunities to be like a VP or dean in our system. Don't really know yet. Otherwise, just come to work hard, and do the best you can.
So I am technically a senior because I am an early college student, and I'm a 4-year. So I plan on going to either Chapel Hill, haven't heard back yet, or Charlotte, got in. Thank you for possibly international business, but I keep going back and forth between international business versus getting my MBA. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And then with that, I hope to be able to work within either our government or for a corporation, traveling and, you know, trying to make good trade deals and stuff. I think would be really cool.
Nice.
I'm also a senior in early college, so I'm either planning to go to University of Southern California or UNC Chapel Hill for political science and international relations. So I'd like to double major in those, then probably head to law school for my Juris Doctor diploma in immigration lawyer.
Okay.
Actually, currently in college as well, furthering my education.
Yeah.
Hoping to receive a bachelor's in business administration, focused in entrepreneurship. Hoping to own a physical business at some point. I run my own business from home. And then I'm already looking into receiving master's in higher education as well. So.
I know I'm in my second semester. I know this upcoming semester, like when it hits next year, that'll probably be my last one at Mitchell. So then I'll be transferring to either App State to get my master's degree in music, or UNC Charlotte, or whichever college I want to look at, because there are like a lot of options for music.
Yeah.
So might take up a leadership role at a college just so I can, you know, put myself out there, actually gain some more knowledge of what not only student government does, but what our politics are.
So for me, this is currently my second year. I will graduate this upcoming spring, and I plan to pursue an international relations major, but I'm still deciding until this very moment, on which college I'm planning to apply, because I haven't applied until now. But we're still figuring out on that part, but I know that I love international relations, and I love romance.
Well, I can tell you what I know, and I can tell you what I don't know. I know that I'll be graduating in May, and I'll be headed to Chapel Hill for my undergraduate. I've already been accepted. I'm part of the C-STEP program, where once I get there, I'll be an underclassman to my daughter, who's already there. She's currently a junior at Chapel Hill. And then I want to go to one of the medical schools here in North Carolina. I guess maybe my preference would be Chapel Hill, just because that's where I'm getting my undergrad, but all the medical schools in the state are really good ones. So I would really be happy for any of them. But I hope to go to medical school in North Carolina. I hope to do my residency in North Carolina, and I hope to spend my entire career in rural North Carolina. So that is the plan. What I don't know is, as far as serving and contributing, I'm doing this position here where I'm president of N4CSGA. Don't know what the next step is. When I get to a four-year university, I'm still waiting for the next opportunity to come along that's how I can do some good.
Yes.
I'm still waiting for that opportunity to come around, and which I'm sure that it will. I just got to be patient, and and maybe get to Chapel Hill. But I think that's maybe what I'm most excited about, is the unknown. Yes, I'm going to get an education at Chapel Hill, but what am I going to do while I'm there to continue to serve and give back?
Yeah, so awesome. Yeah.
You're good?
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Well, that concludes our town hall for today. Our next town hall, I believe, will be in March. We have not determined when or where, but I am pretty confident that it's going to be in March. We will get those details out to everybody as soon as we possibly can. So thank you all so much for coming. You guys did an amazing job. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, everyone.